Good morning from beautiful Irvine, California. At least beautiful for now until the heat melts all the beauty away later today. Anyway, this is Shane Starr with Philosophical Reflections on Religion, and today we're talking about NDEs, otherwise known as near death experiences. Ever since I was a child, I've been fascinated by these stories, and they're all similar across time and cultures and even religions. And I figure it goes within the context of this channel being a philosophical side of religion rather than just purely action oriented. And I thought, what would I have to say about near death experiences, having never experienced one, thankfully? But um, first of all, they are fascinating. Second of all, they are real. However, one can explain them, they do happen. That's a fact. Do they happen for everyone? Apparently not, but they happen for many people, and perhaps they happen to all of us, and just not all NDEs are remembered. But to kind of jump right into it, um, the first thing I think of, at least when I think of near death experiences, is there is something beyond death, some sort of different plane of existence. Now, naturally, if you're a Christian, you believe that already, but for many people, that's a miracle in and of itself. So let's go to actual data, what we can know about these for sure first, and then we'll take it from there. Um, I'd start with hospice nurses. They're probably, as a group, the best witnesses of this phenomena. And before we even get to the actual death part, as people approach death, these nurses, they report an increased awareness on the part of the dying of other dead people coming, visiting with them, coming into the room, seemingly almost preparing them for this transition. And no, this isn't just internet folklore. There was a 2022 systematic peer-reviewed study about end-of-life dreams and visions, and they roughly 60% of people had some sort of visitation experience that they spoke about while awake. And I guess sometimes it was through dreams, or in a sort of transitory state between waking and dreaming. And the most common visitors, sometimes it's angels, sometimes they say it's Jesus himself, but oftentimes it's dead relatives or friends. In some cases, a relative or friend that visits them that they were not aware of being dead at the time of the visit, which is really, kind of hair on your skin raising. The thing is, researchers and scientists have made a distinction between these sort of meaningful and coherent experiences from ordinary delirium, coming as someone's losing consciousness or something. But like consciousness itself, it's difficult to pin down and examine. So do these visions in and of themselves prove some sort of afterlife that our relatives or friends are on the other side waiting for us? No, I don't think it's proof in that way. But in the context of faith, I think it goes a long way in strengthening our faith. And I would go on to say that the fact that not everyone has them, again, I don't think goes as a proof against the reality of these experiences, because even a single experience in recorded history would mean something. And the fact that over half of people dying have these kinds of experiences before death, I mean, there's something there for sure. You can't just write it off and say, oh, it's just the brain going crazy. No, there's more to it than that. So what about people who've actually died and then are resuscitated? What's going on with them? Most of them are good experiences. A few are bad. You can look those up online or on YouTube. You'll get tons of stories, more than you can watch, of witnesses, and you can judge for yourself whether they're rational or not. I found them to be very rational and believable. There's been a few that I don't know about this guy or this woman, but for the most part, they seem straight up legit. And they all describe, they describe like a tunnel thing that can be explained with consciousness kind of before it goes out. Peripheral vision goes first, and then they're in this other reality, and there seems to be an angel or Jesus himself is with the person, and a life review seems to take place, all seemingly very similar to what's described in the Bible as far as what happens after death. And some of these people are able to describe conversations or items or clothing that they otherwise wouldn't have been able, they shouldn't have been able to know, if being that they were not only not awake but clinically dead for a period of time before coming back. So what is the upshot of these experiences? Where do they go? So again, we're back to this life review and a sort of judgment, but the judgment's seemingly almost always, I wouldn't say a self-judgment, but just an understanding of one's life as it really is and not sugarcoating anything. They all, of course, they experience a separation from the body, clarity or heightened senses, everything, an altered sense of time, but everything's in the context of this spiritual meaning. Like, it's not just a different dimension, it's specifically spiritual in nature, regardless of religion or even the lack of religion on the part of the temporarily deceased. A life review, encounters with dead relatives or friends, and there's seems to be mostly a profound sense of peace and love that they experience, which results in a different perspective when they wake up. And I think that's the most important part of this whole thing. But before I get to that, in this spiritual dimension, again, I don't want to touch on the ones that are bad, but I've heard some horrible stories about what happens in a bad near-death experience, and it sounds like hell, quite literally. I hope no one listening to this ever goes through anything like that. But those are available online to look at as well. Something that I find very comforting, even though I've been a philosopher and somewhat of a theologian my entire life, I love the fact that none of these NDEs seem to have anything to do with the theology exam. Like during the life review, it's no one's ever put on the spot saying, does the Holy Spirit proceed along with the Father and Son, or does the Spirit and the Son proceed first from the Father? Oh, you got it wrong, bad. There's nothing like that at all. There's not even as far as beliefs go, like believing the wrong version of religion within Christianity, or to take it even broader, being of the wrong religion. Although a lot of NDEs result in a conversion to Christianity, I'm not sure if any result in a conversion to another religion. But again, I think it underscores an ongoing theme that I've made in these videos, and that is salvation is not a result of your performance on a theology exam. It's more about your work and your relationship with God and really how you live. So where does that leave us? What's the upshot of the whole thing? What is the result of these? How do people act afterwards? Overall, whether it's a good or bad experience, and again, most of them are good, encounters of this sort are, again, they're comforting. The person revived seems to lack the fear of death, even if they were really afraid of dying before. They have a new sense of happiness and gratitude and peace about their lives. And so whether or not part or some or any of NDEs can be explained by scientific explanations, like, well, that's the brain releasing this hormone or chemical or whatever, the fact remains that these are life-changing events. I think we can conclude that for sure. No one has one of these and then just life goes on as it did before. They all result in a changed person on the other end. And why is this important? It's because that gives us the whole purpose of near-death experiences, and it's not to tell us what Jesus' face looks like. It's not to tell us what color or colors heaven is. It's not even necessarily meant to tell us that your grandparents or whoever is deceased, that they're okay. That might be part of it. I think going back to almost all of these experiences having some sort of a life review, I think the most important part of near-death experiences is to value this life here and now, and to do what you can here and now to live the way you were meant to live, love the way you were meant to love and have gratitude for God, and do your best to love your neighbor as yourself. And that means loving yourself too, treating yourself with care. I think that near-death experiences remind us that our life here on this planet as we know it is temporary, and whatever we set out to do in our lives, we need to do it. Tomorrow is promised to no one, and we have to do all we can today. And at the top of that to-do list should be loving God and loving our neighbors as ourselves. That's all I have for this week. Till next week, God bless. See you soon.